want to show us how to make a beautiful turban with ruffles. In this video, I have with me this materials to work with. This is my fabric, and the fabric is called mesh net. It's called mesh net. It's a little bit stretchy, okay, it's not that stretchy. And we have our satin doll face. We have fiber. Okay, I have my measuring tape needle. I will need my thread, and I might actually need office pins to work with. So from the 1 yard of fabric, I already made my cap. Okay, it's the pleated cap. I just did 3 pleats. If you don't know how to make a pleated turban cap, please let me know. So I attached hands at the back to tie it, because this fabric doesn't really stretch, so I prefer to have hands at the back to tie it. So just make it a little bit bigger than the head circumference, then attach the hand to tie it for proper fitting. So from my satin fabric, I've cut out just a piece of fabric, and the measurement from here to here is 12 inches by 4 inches. This is just all I need from my satin fabric. Okay. I mean, I have the right side of this fabric facing up. I'm going to fold in half, okay, and I'm going to sew by 1/4 inch. I'll sew by 1/4 inch from one end to the other end. So I've sewn my piece of fabric from this end up to this end. Can you see? I have this space, this opening here, so I just sew it from here this way, and when I got here, I just did a curve. Okay, can you see? I just did a curve like that, just sit up to this end. So I'm going to cut this part off like this. Okay, so I'm going to turn the right side of the fabric out. Now the right side of the fabric is turned out, and we're going to be filling up our pipe, or we just fill it up with fiber. You can get fiber from those who make furniture, okay? Yes, from a carpenter shop. So I'm going to fill my fabric with fiber like that. I'll just push some in to fill it up. To secure it, just tuck in the rough edges and secure it. Invisible tacking. Okay, so having done that, I'm going to just keep this one aside. Look at what we have. Okay, I just try to bend it this way before I tack, so I will keep this aside. Now I'm going to pick my mesh net fabric. I'll measure about 6 inches. I'll do 6 inches width. I'll just do 6 inches width, and the length I have here is about, I have about 45 inches this way, so I'll just leave it at that 45 inches and cut off my 6 inches part like that. I'll just fold it in half. That's the wrong side facing down. I fold in half. The fabric doesn't really have a wrong side. Please know that you can use any fabric of choice for your project, all right? And I'm going to sew from here, go like that, all the way down. Sew it all the way down. All right, friends, as you can see, I've sewn from this end down to this end by 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to reduce the seam allowance. Okay, so I'm going to turn the right side out like this. All right, so I've turned it inside out, and I'm going to bring the center of the piece to this side. The reason being that if I put the seam on the center, by the time I'm working, because I'm going to be wrapping this over this, and because of the nature of the fabric, the middle part may actually be visible. Can you see? It will show that line. Okay, if you're using a different kind of fabric and it's not going to be visible, you can bring your seam to the center. But for this particular fabric, I would like to bring the seam to the side like this. All right, I'll bring the seam to the side. So now from one end like this, I'm going to start wrapping my puffed piece, and I'll get my needle and thread ready. From this side of it, I'm going to just tuck this in. Just tuck this in like this. Make sure that the seam is on the side. You can actually use the same technique too if you're using a different kind of fabric. You can bring the seam to the side. But for softer materials or softer fabrics where that middle part will not be showing, you can actually bring it to the center. So I folded this in. I'm just trying to fold the edge of my fabric in like that, and I use my needle to stitch. So I'm going to bring this here. So now this part that we have sewn will be facing this way. We are starting from here. Can you see? So it's going to be facing this way. So by the time we wrap this over, this part of it will be covering the stitches. Can you see? When you're wrapping it over like that, and you come here and continue, this part will actually cover the seam. Can you see? So that's just how I'm going to wrap this over my piece of fabric. So from here, I am bringing, remember the seam is facing this way, it's starting from here. So we're going to use our needle and thread to just secure this to my satin piece like that. Okay, like under the satin piece, under the satin piece. So I just continue like that, and I'm not making it too tight. Look at the way I'm just taking my needle and thread through just to secure it. All right, make sure that it's remember the length of this particular fabric that I started with was 45 inches. So by the time I measure what I have left, I eventually have 35 inches. So I just cut this excess off, and I'm going to fold it in, fold the edges in like this, and I'm going to sew. Just stack with my needle and thread. I have the two pieces cut out, and the measurement is for each of the piece 6.5 inches width, by 45 inches length in 2 places. If you want your ruffles to be fuller, you can add more. You can just cut extra fabric. If you don't have enough length of fabric, just cut extra fabric and join it to this one, or you cut out whatever length your fabric is giving you. If you have up to 60 inches, you can leave it at 60 inches by 6.5 inches. Now I'm going to fold in half. This fabric, like I said earlier, I am actually unable to figure out the wrong side, so I guess both sides are the same. So just fold in half, and I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew from one end to the other end. I do the same for the second piece. So I have sewn my 2 pieces of fabric, and as usual, we're going to trim off the excess allowance. I sew it by 1/2 inch, so please trim off the excess allowance so that it won't be bulky in that part. Okay, so I'll just trim it off like that, then we'll continue from there. Now I'm going to turn the right side of the pieces out. I've turned the right side of the fabric out, and I'm going to bring the seam to the side. Can you see? And I'm going to start sewing loose stitches from this end to this other end, all right, with my needle and thread. So from here I'm going to start sewing loose stitches. Let me just so I'm just going to drag. I'll just drag. It depends on how full you want your ruffles to be. Like I said, you can increase the length of your piece of fabric so that it will give you what you want, if you want it fuller than mine. So I've pulled the thread, and I'm going to just secure my gathers here. I'll just take the needle and thread through like that to secure it. And I'm going to cut off the thread. I'll do the same for this other piece as well. Just pull like that, and I secure it, and I cut off the excess thread. We're going to be assembling everything together, so I'm going to just do this on my mannequin head. So this is my turban cap on my mannequin head. So I'm going to be placing this first design. Remember that we had this part. I made this part of this my piece of fabric before I proceeded in wrapping it over the puffed piece. I made it slimmer. Okay, I'm going to be bringing that slim part to the upper part of the turban. Okay, so this is how I'm going to place this on my cap, and I'm going to tack it down with my needle and thread. The thread and the needle out. Now after placing my cap on my mannequin head, and I set how I'm going to tack it, so I'll just take my needle through like that. I started tacking it from here to here. Let me just show you how I did. I just take my needle and check from behind, then take it to pick your design under like this. So this is where the thread is coming out from. Can you see? So I take it back from that, almost the same point, and I take it back down like that, invisible tacking. I take the thread again from behind. If I like, I can bring it upward just to make it secured, okay? But please don't pull your thread too much. Don't make it too tight. And make sure you bend your design. Bend it like that, okay, so that it will relax. If you don't bend it, if you tack straight, By the time you want to wear it on your head, you won't be able to. You even have this in excess. So just bend it while you're tacking. Bend your design. So I'm just going to take it through like that. Tack. So I'm done tacking it to one side of my cap. The next step is for us to attach our ruffles. Okay, and this is how we're going to go about it. Now I'm going to place my cap, my mannequin head again. I have my ruffles, and I'm going to start by bringing this end together, and I am going to tack with my needle and thread. Watch this part very carefully. I want to start attaching my ruffles to my cap, and you know, it actually all depends on your creativity. You don't have to really follow what I'm doing. I'm going to bring it this way, and I'm going to place it right here. Place it here, and I'm going to tack it to my cap. Look at the way it is facing. Look at the way it is facing. Taking the thread from behind like that and tack. Tack it properly to my cap. I'll just arrange like that and tack to my cap right here. I've tacked it to my base. So when I get here, I'm going to just gather it up, and I'll just tack it down. And I'll just tack it down like that. From here, I side here, there, tack. So I'm done tacking the first piece to my, that's the first ruffle to my cap, and I'm going to proceed to tacking the second piece. Now to tack the second piece of my ruffle, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place the second piece this way, and I'm going to do the same. I'll just tack this. I'll just bring it together like that and tack. Okay, so I'm going to place this. I'll just lift this up. Remember, this is how it looks like. I'll just lift this up, and I'll bring this here. It could be this way, and I'm going to tack. Okay, so I'm going to tack it to my cap like that. The same way, I'll just arrange, can you see? I'll just place it this way, and I'm going to tack it to my cap base. Alright, look at the way I'm just arranging it like this, and I'll tack like that, tack it down like that. When I get to this end, I do the same. You can just fold in the edges like that and just tack it down there. So when you're tacking, make sure it's also knit from behind. Make sure it is knit from behind. Okay, so just tack it down. This is the back and this is the front, and can you see this is the back for the tying. This can be made with any fabric of choice, non-stretchy fabrics. Yes, you can use African print, you can use satin, any fabric of choice. Okay, base here just to make it stay firm on the air on my mannequin so it doesn't slip off. Okay, you can use a turban lift if you have one. This is my cap, and it's this